the Metalhead Car Show. With Manowar continuing the Crushing the Enemies of Metal tour and now into 2023 with Michelangelo Badio on guitar, so I want to talk about some songs I think would be awesome to see in the set list. Yes, another setlist video, and I'm not sorry at all. Before we really get into it, I want to say that Manowar is advertising this show as a mega set. Now, I don't know if that means they're going to be going like right into the archives and pulling songs out, or it's going to be a 4-hour show and they're just playing everything, but I'm really fascinated to see what they're going to be playing on this tour. So let's get right into this video. It's full of words I probably can't actually say on YouTube, and it'll get this video torn down, but let's get right into it. So since this tour will be looking at anniversary albums a lot, I'm going to be doing it focusing on the albums they're having anniversaries on. So starting with Fast Taker from Battle Hymns. Fast Taker is a really fun song. I would argue it's probably the most fun song off Battle Hymns album, and it's a rarity at this point. Fast Taker hasn't actually been played live since 2011 when they were doing the anniversary tour for Battle Hymns, and prior to that it was most likely hasn't been played since the early 1980s when they're still kind of touring on that album. And this would be really cool to see pulled out, probably having like the earlier part of the set list, but it would be a wicked song to hear live. Second up, Revelations from the Into Glory Ride album. So this is one that's just kind of been neglected throughout the years, and I do not think they played it live anywhere nearly enough as they should have. The last time they played this live was when Manowar played their 5-hour and 5-minute show in Bulgaria, and they played almost everything from the first 6 albums. And prior to that, it most likely hasn't been played live since the early 1980s. I think it's a shame they haven't really played it live much, but I think since they're going to be looking at the Into Glory Ride album, or at least they're talking about looking at into the Into Glory Ride album, I think it'd be a perfect song to pull out for this. Next up, from the Fighting the World album, Violence and Bloodshed. Much like everything else so far, this is a rarity. The last time they played it was at that mega show they were doing back in 2008, and prior to that, as you guessed it, it hasn't been played live since the 80s. It's kind of an unorthodox good song, especially for a guitarist, because the first verse, I think, has no guitar or very little guitar in it. But the ending is pretty much just nothing but shred, so it'd be perfect for Michelangelo. Next up, in a song that's not that obscure, Blood of the Kings. Blood of the Kings was the closing track off the Kings of Metal album, and unlike a lot of the songs on this list, it's actually got a fair bit of time being played live. It's not a super rarity, and I believe it's actually been on a live album once, but nonetheless, it would be awesome to hear this one pulled out, especially if they did the re-recorded version from 2014 live. Next up, one that hasn't been played live since the early 90s, Ride the Dragon. Ride the Dragon, much like a lot off the Triumph of Steel album, is very fast and very shreddy, and I think it would actually go really well with Michelangelo's playing style, and I think he would absolutely kill it at this song. I've also always found that Manowar's kind of neglected the Triumph of Steel album a little bit, but as of 2016, 2017-ish, they've actually done a really good job of like just pulling songs out on every tour. I don't know if they've done most of the album, but they've kind of hit a lot of the bangers at this point. And I think Ride the Dragon is just kind of next in line for this. Just if they're going to pull out Ride the Dragon, I would need to say, please leave Achilles in the set list. That song is awesome. Next up, and from the Warriors of the World album, Fight Until We Die. So this song is actually currently in the set list, and it's currently being played live on this tour. I'm kind of saying this as a, please don't drop it, it's awesome. I think this song is just so aggressive, and these really heavy, fast-paced, aggressive songs do really well for Manowar, and they only play a handful of them, or they only seem like they have a handful of them. I wish they did this more, because for songs like this and Dawn of Battle, they do a phenomenal job at these. Next up, from the Gods of War album, Slimebeer. Or at least I really hope that's how it's pronounced.
Across the rainbow bridge to Valhalla, oh, it's easy for me.
This is one of those beautifully underappreciated and super cheesy songs that just kind of slip under the radar for a lot of fans. But again, much like Fast Taker, I think this would just be a lot of fun live. It'd also just be kind of nice to hear something new from the Gods of War album. It seems like since it came out, all they've really been playing is King of Kings, Sons of Odin, and Die for Metal, which that one particular song I could go without hearing live. There's a lot of great stuff on that album. I know Sons of Odin's a bit of a fan favorite, but I would love to see some variety in that. Which leads me to my next song. Arguably the best song off the Gods of War album and one of their best vocal harmonies that they've ever written, Odin. I would love to see Odin as a show closer. It ends on kind of such a high with those incredible vocal melodies and just that scream from Eric Adams. I think if the crowd also sang along during these harmony parts, it would just be a excellent moment in the venue, just hearing that come out of everybody. Next up, from the Lords of Steel album, Lords of Steel. To be completely honest, the Lords of Steel album isn't my favorite album ever, but Lords of Steel itself is a bit of a goddamn banger, and I would love to see them pull it out. This would be another one I would kind of have earlier in the set list, and maybe like song 2 to 4, somewhere around there. But that opening riff just gets people going really well. It sounds like it does a really good job on the Lords of Steel live album, and I think it would do a really good job on this tour once again. It's the only, or at least one of the very few songs to come back and be played again after the Lords of Steel tour, and it hasn't been played live since 2014 or this, and I think it's just time it comes back out. And last up on the list, a new song. We know they're in the studio, we know where they're recording something, we don't know how long said album or EP is going to be, but we know they're recording something. Now, the other reason I say a new song is they seem to be just having a lot of fun in the studio. I remember when they were getting ready for the Final Battle EP, and the EP they recently released, they didn't say a single word of these two EPs, and they're making them. As when they've just been releasing snippets here and there, and they seem to be having a lot of fun with Michelangelo on this album, that I hope they pull something out. Because again, they appear to be having a lot of fun making whatever it is they're currently making. And since once again, it seems like they're having a lot of fun, I assume they will pull something out. But just due to that, I wanted to mention it. Those are the Manowar songs I would love to see pulled out on this next upcoming tour. But I want to know, what songs would you like to hear? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed what you've seen. I post on Instagram and occasionally TikTok, and I'll see you later.